In 2021, members of the International Federation of Settlements from more than 30 countries came together to create a declaration on social justice. A powerful statement on how organizations all over the world are making a difference at the local level. Today, I found myself surrounded with stories about fostering social justice, whilst meeting with partners from all over Europe in the wonderful Hemgöden in Lund. And I heard some inspiring examples of what this can look like in our communities. My name is Christel Juring. I work at LSA, the National Association for Community-Based and Led Organizations in the Netherlands. And I would like to share a few of these stories with you.
My name is Staffan Lindqvist. I'm the Secretary General of the Swedish Federation of Settlements. Our organization, we are organizing Swedish settlements, youth centers, both municipal and NGOs all over the country of Sweden, about 150. And this is started off as a project, but now it is regular. Since it has been very successful. It started 10 years ago. It's called All Activity House. And there are 4 of them in Malmö. And the special thing with them is that they are situated in primary schools. And they are also in neighborhoods that are very much dominated by immigrants. So the basic idea was to find tools to integrate the immigrants in the Swedish society.
Okay, and why is it relevant that it's in primary schools? Why has that made a difference?
Yeah, when immigrants are coming to Sweden, everyone, there's a law, everyone, of course, has to go to school. So that is like an institution that everyone come in contact with, and coming to a new society, of course, you could be a little bit suspicious about different meeting places and activities that are arranged, like youth centers and so on. But the school is something that you need to go to, and you get to know both the children, of course, but also the parents. So that is an institution that people rely on. They understand that this is a safe and good place. So that is why it was good to have the All Activity House in the school, because that was already an institution that was trusted. And many of the families that are coming, they are not letting their daughters. They can be at school, but after school they should go home, so nothing bad should happen to them, and they have to go home to help out in the house and also do their homework. But the point with the activity house is that the activities arranged there, they are directly connected to the school day. So it is like school in a way. It is in the same place, but the activities is something that is fun and educating, and you are with friends. So that is a possibility to reach also the girls.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a sort of a safe environment or a trusted environment.
Exactly.
And if you would have to describe how that might have changed these kids' lives, how has it affected it? Has it been a positive impact?
The thing is that this gives them a possibility to develop interests, have fun, learning new things while they are having fun. And also, it colors the way they are looking at school. Before the activity house, there was quite a lot of vandalism and so on at school. The grades were quite low, but the outlook on the school became much better, because the school was related to something that was fun and nice, and the people who are working at the All Activity House, they are in the school all day, and they have activities in breaks and so on. So the school was much more connected with something that was fun. Mm-hmm. And also the result was that the grades that they got in school, they got very much better very quickly.
Ah, that is interesting. I guess something that is not necessarily related to teaching or to sort of the education that was provided still had a big impact on actually their learning and their sort of educational levels.
The way of learning in school has not changed, but the children's outlook on school has changed.
Were there any other things that you noticed over time?
Yeah, I had opportunity to follow this project right from the beginning, and I was there and I made interviews with the kids, and when I was asking them what's your plans for your life, what will happen when you are grown up, what will you work with, and they said like I will probably, maybe I could be a cleaner, maybe I could be a taxi driver, maybe just like my parents. But when I was there some years later and I was putting up the same question to them, the answers were different. They said, well, maybe I could be a doctor, maybe I could be an architect, would be interesting, or maybe a lawyer or something.
So I guess their sort of aspiration, but maybe their world just became a little bit bigger. One of my favorite stories that you've told about this center is about the women who wanted to do, was it a samba or a Zumba class?
Zumba class. The idea of the Old Activity House is whenever there comes a suggestion on activities or something people want to do, they are eager to realize it just within a week. And one day there came this couple of women who said maybe we could have Samba classes. And they said, okay, of course, we fix that. And they fixed a Samba teacher. Because there were no Samba teacher in the neighborhood. So the next Monday evening it was Samba class and no one arrived. So they phoned these women and said, why didn't you turn up to the Samba class? And they said, but we can't come because no one can take care of our children. They asked, but maybe your husband can do that. Either they were working or they don't want to take care of the children. It's my task. Okay, they said. Next Monday we will fix someone who takes care of your children while you are having Samba. And they knew that one of the tough guys on the square, he wanted to leave this quite destructive gang. So they asked him, it's called Mustafa, and asked him if he maybe could take care of the children while their mothers were doing Samba. And he said, well, yes, yeah, I could do that. Mustafa took care of the children in a room playing with them while the mothers had Samba. And one of the women said that, well, here we have Mustafa, who takes care of my children while I am having Zumba. I will go home and tell my husband that from now on he has to take care of the children while I am having Zumba.
Hi, I'm Eva Bertalan. I'm head of a neighborhood center in Vienna, run by an organization, an NGO in Vienna that's called Wiener Hilfswerk. Wiener Hilfswerk has a lot of departments, but one department is neighborhood centers, and there are 10 neighborhood centers in Vienna currently, and I'm head of one of them. Okay. What our neighborhood centers are really good at is fostering connections between people who would otherwise not have met. And I feel like we are, in a way, like a petri dish for social inclusion, because people connect that in, let's say, the outside world would not have connected, and form bonds that then ideally would kind of have an impact on the real world outside of the neighborhood center. I think we are good in giving people a safe space where they feel like they have they are allowed to try out new things. So we are very aware of that, especially Austrians seem to be rather risk averse and failure averse. Mm-hmm. So in our neighborhood centers, it's absolutely okay to try things out. And if it doesn't work, then we just turn a little screw and see if that changes anything. But it's always like the learning process. And I think all of us in theory know that failure is like the best way to learn something, but we still try to avoid it and
Very
trying
uncomfortable.
yes, and trying to have a space where if something doesn't work out, then this is not a failure. It's just like a part of the process, and we move on from there is something I think neighborhood centers are really good at. And what I also like is when people feel safe enough to try out things they formerly think they might not be good at. And this leads to the tool we were showing during the Fostering Social Justice project. We started a German cafe because in 2015, when a lot of refugees from Syria and Afghanistan came to Vienna, we noticed that there was a need to practice German. Apart from being part of a course where you do certificates and get degrees, it's so much more about practicing and local slang and knowing how to get your way around Austrians and Austria, because this is not an easy thing. And we started German Cafe and tried to involve especially volunteers who had no experience in teaching any language skills. We try to get people who have fluent German, either as their mother tongue, but also if it's their second language, and invited them by saying, like, if the person you're learning with is able to speak 3 more words at the end of the hour, it's like, this is awesome. Yeah, that's all we are asking for. And then we supported them with very engaging materials, like we had apples with the word apple written on it and picture cards, just to make it really, really easy. And then it's just a place where that happens, what happens every time if humans interact, because then you get curious about the other person. And what we really tried to foster was the change from the refugees to another human being across the table from you, and seeing the fact that there were friendships growing over the years, that volunteers who at first had been really, really shy about whether they were able to do it, then returned and now are with us for more than 7 years now, still teaching German and also offering other programs, because they noticed, okay, there is the need for maybe also showing that my city and having a buddy system of supporting people through processes when they apply for things. Or on the other hand, seeing how the refugees then feeling more comfortable with the language started to offer other things, for example, cooking classes or open meal tables, or later on when they were better and proficient with German, they even started to teach other beginners. And we saw that friendship evolved between the participants, and also in some lucky instances where the legal framework worked, some found jobs or internships, which was really, really nice to see. So seeing that our concept of, in theory, it's about teaching the language, but in reality, it's really about fostering connections and getting people included and connected, working out was really nice.
And maybe I'm overinterpreting it, so let me know if I am. But what I like about what you're sharing now is that a refugee in this case is not someone who just needs help, but is contributing something, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So the person who might be teaching might initially be thinking that they'd be helping someone else, but actually they are getting a meaningful relationship out of it, or they feel that they can contribute.
Hi, I am Pentti Lemmetyinen from Finland. I'm CEO of the Finnish Federation of Settlements and also the president of IFS.
You were telling me earlier about the fact enterprising part of your organization. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Finnish Federation of Settlements is of course NGO, but is also a social enterprise or social company. However, we have a community housing company. We organize mostly in the capital area in Finland, but also some other cities. We have 23 houses or blocks, rental houses, and there are about a little bit more than 2,000 thousands people are living in our houses. So they are normal rental houses. Those people who are living in our houses, they cannot be very rich because they have affordable housing and affordable homes for people with quite low incomes. But the idea is that a third part of all those people who are living in our houses, they have some kind of special need, like they are very old, or they have been in prison, or they have some mental health challenges in their life, or something else. But then we have quite many old people or senior citizens living in our houses, and we wanted to know how do they feel. Has this community-based housing, does it cause any change in their lives? So that we measured.
And if you talk about community-based housing, does that mean that these sort of apartment blocks don't just have houses, but there's also something communal in there?
Yeah, they are like normal apartments, but there are also room for the common activities. Music rooms or living rooms and a community kitchen, and also there are social workers or community developers who are working in those houses. They are like a settlement, mini settlements.
Okay.
And the idea is that we don't organize any program for them, but we encourage them to create activities that they want to have. So there are many kind of clubs and fishing clubs and traveling clubs and art clubs and whatever. And we only encourage people to do that, and then we give room and little resources to organize what they want. We thought that maybe people are feeling better in our houses than like so-called normal rental houses. So when we wanted to know if it really is so. So we had we made a little research. One lady from the University of Helsinki came, and so she took the 50 people from our houses and then 50 people from the normal rental houses owned by the city. And those houses in the city, they didn't have any special kind of a program or anything like that. So, and it was, then we found out that people who were living in our houses, they have a feeling that they are happy. Then they had a feeling that they have friends. They felt that they have a meaning in their lives. They used less medicine. They drank less alcohol. They said that they can be assured that if they need help or support, they can trust that the neighbors or the other people in the house will help them, and they also had experience that it really works. People in our houses, they could live longer in the normal apartment than the other senior people in the normal houses, and it was approximately from 3 to 5 years. And then we, because the state, of course, it is mostly interested of money. So we were able to show that it is actually it is good idea for the state to support us, because we can maybe make sure that these people can live in a normal apartment, maybe 5 years more, like in normal apartment, which is much less expensive for the state when they can stay with us and they feel good and it is cheaper. So
what always strikes me is that yes, the money is important, but I guess it must be fairly satisfying that earlier part of the research, what you just say, that people are happier and healthier.
Yeah, so
that in itself should be sufficient.
Of course,
value,
yeah. Of course, the money was not the motive for us, but it just happened to be so that it was cheaper.
Yeah. So an additional...
To make people happy than keep them somewhere and then put them to the hospital.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for listening to these stories from IFS members on how they are working on fostering social justice in their communities. Curious about the IFS Network and the Fostering Social Justice Project? Please visit ifsnetwork.org.